Tonight, a program that allows some people convicted of sexually violent crimes to get out of prison early is facing heavy scrutiny. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Alex Bell, and the criticism continues after news that a serial child molester from Sacramento County has been granted parole. ABC 10's Becca Habegger shows us the efforts that are underway to make changes.
Yeah, Alex, on Monday, we brought you the story of outrage over David Allen Funston. He's a Sacramento man convicted of sexually molesting multiple children in the 90s, and how California's Board of Parole Hearings is granting him parole through something called the Elderly Parole Program. We took a look at how that program started, who's eligible for it, and the lawmakers working to change it.
What in the hell is going on in California?
That was Sacramento County Sheriff Jim Cooper on Monday at a news conference where he sounded the alarm about David Allen Funston, a Sacramento area man convicted of kidnapping and raping children in the 90s.
Judge in Sacramento described him, and I'll say this, as the monster parents fear most.
He says a judge sentenced Funston in 1999 to 20 years and 8 months in prison, as well as 3 consecutive sentences of 25 years to life. But the California Board of Parole Hearings just granted him parole. That's because a law passed in 2017 established the Elderly Parole Program, allowing inmates who are at least 60 years old and have served at least 25 years of their time to become eligible for parole. A 2020 law relaxed eligibility, lowering the Elderly Parole Program age to 50 and time served to 20 years. Funston, who is 64 and has served nearly 27 years, would be eligible under either set of guidelines.
I think most reasonable Californians would argue that 50 is not elderly, and especially in the case of these types of criminals that have the ability to commit these crimes again, regardless of their age.
Republican State Senator Brian Jones has been leading the charge in recent years to make it harder or even impossible for violent offenders, especially sexually violent ones, to gain elderly parole. Last September, a Board of Parole Hearings panel granted Funston elderly parole. In January, Governor Newsom requested a review of that decision, and just last week, the full board affirmed the panel's decision.
He was sentenced in such a way originally that he was never going to get out of prison.
But Jones says the Elderly Parole Program derailed that. It's why he introduced legislation last year to make people convicted of certain sex crimes totally ineligible for elderly parole. That bill died in committee. He's now working with fellow Republican Senator Roger Nilo on similar legislation.
My preference would be for them to comply with their original sentence and never be released.
And Republican Assemblymember Josh Hoover has also introduced legislation this year to keep people like Funston, he says, behind bars.
He came from my district. He victimized children in my district.
Under current law, the governor only has the authority to overturn a Board of Parole Hearings decision in a murder case. Hoover's bill would expand that authority to overturn parole decisions in cases involving any violent felony, including certain sexually violent crimes.
Let's say that the governor himself, if he opposes the release of an individual, can actually step up and stop that from happening. We hope the governor will join us in supporting this effort.
For his part, the governor's office posted on X Tuesday that he opposes Funston's parole, had asked the board to review that decision, and has no authority to reverse this independent decision per state law.
We reached out to Funston's attorney. She tells us there is no precedent she's aware of where the board can review the full board decision again after members already reviewed and affirmed the decision. Alex.
All right, Becca, thank you.